Welcome to Spaghetti on the Wall, where we throw ideas, see what sticks, and nurture those that do. I'm your host, Armando Leduc, an actor, entrepreneur, and coach, giving you insights that light up your world. We're here to explore the realms of business, marketing, and life, serving up a shot of inspiration with every episode. Ready to make ideas stick and grow them into something great? Let's dive in. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on when you are consuming this podcast. Spaghetti on the Wall back with another one. Parris Lampropoulos in the house. How are you?
I'm great, Armando. How are you?
I couldn't be better. Today's been a day of discovery and epiphanies.
Discovery and epiphanies. That's always a great thing.
It is, especially when you're connecting dots. And we can get into that too. But I want to give you a quick intro. Parris Lampropoulos, who is a world-renowned copywriter, strategist, and serial entrepreneur, recognized as one of the most effective direct response marketers alive. As a strategist, he has scaled businesses by as much as 32 times, helping entrepreneurs break through growth ceilings and achieve exponential success. As a copywriter, he is hired by 8- and 9-figure businesses to challenge and often beat their best performing campaigns. His copy wins more than 80% of the time, has boosted response rates by up to 250%, and many of his controls have run profitably for over a decade without being dethroned. Welcome.
Thank you. That's a great welcome. I'm glad I hired you as my PR man.
You got it. I'll send you the bill in the mail. So we got introduced by Charles Bird, good friend of mine. I love what he does with the Flow Mastermind. I met him at the Flight Club Mastermind, and just what he's doing has been just incredible. And whenever he introduced me to people, it's always a good fit.
Yeah, Charles is amazing.
Yeah. And so he does a really good job of that. I love the fact that you're on here and that we can start talking about copywriting, because you got AI and you got all of these things happening, right? And people like you in that space are thriving, right? The people that are doing it right, that are not scared of AI and understand this concept. So before we get into all of that, can you give me a 2-minute backstory of how you got where you got? And I know it's 2 minutes.
Okay, so I started out as a copywriter, and I found out very quickly out of college that I was unemployable. Tried a bunch of stuff, failed at it, found copywriting. Turned out I was pretty good at it. Trained with some of the best, Bill Bonner, Mark Ford, Clayton Makepeace. Bought a lot of books and courses. Gary Halbert was a big influence, a lot of people. And I just took what I learned and practiced it and drilled it and used it. And while I was doing all that, I discovered something hiding in plain sight, if you will, that none of my mentors had taught me, but that was sort of implicit in some of the work that was out there. And I said, this is interesting. No one else is talking about this. And so I started using it. And that's when I became virtually unbeatable. And to this day, it's 2025, right? 35 years later, I haven't seen anybody teach it, and I don't teach it. I only do it with my Copy Cubs and people in the inner sanctum. And once I started becoming unbeatable, my phone started ringing off the hook. Back when people answered their phones, and I just never was hurting for work again. In fact, the amount of demand exceeded the supply. And so Dan Kennedy told me, just keep raising your prices till people drop out. So I kept raising my prices. Nobody would drop out. And then I started taking a piece of the action. People weren't dropping out. So then I decided I had to multiply myself. And that's when I took on my first Copy Cubs and morphed from being a freelance copywriter into an ad agency. And I had all these big clients, and I was, doing consulting as well with them. And so morphed from a copywriter to a consultant. And then I did a corporate turnaround. Somebody approached me their life was great when they were a $3 million company, but now that they're an $8 million company, they're dying, they're losing money, they're tapping into their credit card line, not credit card, but credit line. And so I helped them grow from 8 million to 55.2 million, and then became sort of doing that and started consulting for equity. And now I'm a partner in 4 businesses, plus my copying, and then the mastermind, which is this ridiculous thing that I started doing a couple of years ago, which we could talk about if you want.
Would love that. First off, incredible. And second of all, you gotta love a mystery, right? The one thing that I did that, changed the whole game for me, right? Is this part of the strategy when you're copywriting too? When you like open up these curiosities?
Oh yeah, open loops and mystery. And so, very often what I do is I'll teach things. Why is this thing ringing? It's not supposed to ring. I thought I turned the ringer off. Sorry about that. I think the most effective marketing is the stuff that reveals really cool things, because there's no better form of proof than demonstration proof, right? Like the Slicer Dicer commercials or any of that stuff, it's demonstration proof. But even if you're selling an info product, you can demonstrate the product in action by revealing some of the stuff right there in the promo, so that the person, whether they buy or not, comes away better just from having watched your VSL or read your sales letter or whatever medium you're working in. And then once they've seen it, they go, wow, this is amazing. Then you start teasing all the other things they're going to learn. They go, oh my God, look at what he gave me for free. Imagine what I'm going to learn if I buy this. And so that was, for a long time, one of the edges that I brought to the table. Other people were doing pure teas, and I was doing, they sell the sizzle and not the steak. Well, I was giving them free steak and then selling sizzle on top of that.
Gotta love that. And so what was the epiphany that you had that everybody else was?
Again, this is if I told you, I'd have to kill you.
Right.
People sign an NDA and all that, and they know that they'd be foolish to say. I could tell you about other epiphanies if you want, but that one's.
So you don't have to tell me the epiphany. Maybe tell me how, and not necessarily how you got to that epiphany, but the epiphany that was the thing, right? Like, talk to me about the psychology of discovering.
The psychology is, I'm going to win, no ifs, ands, or buts. That's the psychology, right? And so I will pull out all the stops. I will do everything that I have to do to win. And that's how that arose. I looked at things and connected some dots and said, wait a minute, what if I did this and this and this and this? And once I started doing it, it was just blowing the doors off of everything.
And so what do you think is the biggest problem with a lot of these entrepreneurs and their marketing, the copywriting these days?
I think one problem is an over-reliance on AI. It turns out copy that's kind of off, but you can't quite put your finger on what's off about it, right? And so I just wrote a post about this, right? One of the lenses through which I view everything in life is the Pareto principle, or otherwise known as the 80-20 rule. I'm sure you're aware of it. You're nodding your head. 20% of the people make 80% of the money, right? And in any field, 20% of the people are getting 80% of the results. Every field there is. Doctor, lawyer, butcher, baker, candlestick maker, copywriter, you name it, right? Now, are the top 20% doing things the same way as the bottom 80%? No, because if they were, they'd be getting the same results, right? Now, here's an interesting thing is that within that top 20%, guess what? There's another 80-20. And then within that top 20 of the 20, there's another 80-20. So if you look at the people who are the top 20% of the 20% of the 20% of the 20% of the 20%, they're doing stuff so remarkable that it defies belief. So you look at one of my favorite examples is medicine. What does the average doctor do? He talks to you for 15 minutes and writes you a script. What do the top 20% do? They try to look for the root cause of your problem. What are the top 20 of the top 20 of the top 20 of the top 20? Well, I know a guy who's put like a dozen Parkinson's patients in remission. I know a guy who's doing regrowing, you could be bone on bone and he gives you a series of injections and he regrows your cartilage. I know a guy who's reversing macular degeneration. Now you talk about this thing and you sound like a lunatic because it's just so far out there. But this is what happens where you're the top of the top of the top of the top, right? The other day, Alex Kerbosi, he sold 2 million books in 24 hours, right? That's, and he's just a super driven guy. And just, I'm sure he's going to be a billionaire in the not too distant future, right? So if you look at somebody like me, like I asked Perplexity, what's my income? And it turns out my income is in the top 0.1%. And yet I'm a pauper compared to like Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos or a bunch of other guys you never heard of. You go to Greenwich, Connecticut, which is right near here, you will see all these mega yachts. I can't afford a mega yacht, but I'm in the top 10th of 1%. Well, they're in the top of that, right? They're that much higher than me on income, right? So the gulf between the average person and the top, it's just so huge. It's almost like our puny little brains can't conceive of how big that number is, that order of magnitude, right? Yeah. So I think I did the math once, and Jeff Bezos's net worth is 732,000 times the average, right? So anyway, this is a tangent, but it's very important to me, Pareto. So you see, I get all
sure.
So I tend to go down rabbit holes. Feel free to rein me in if you need to, because otherwise we'll be here, 12
No
hours.
problem.
Back to AI, right? Where does AI get its source material from? Is it from the top 20% of the internet or the top 20 of the 20, which is 4%? No, it gets it from the whole freaking internet. It gets it from, so you have to train it on what you want from it. And most people don't know how to do that. You could buy these prompts or, and the prompts are good, but if you don't first train it and then prompt it correctly and then know if what it's giving you is good or not, you're just going to write mediocre crap. And that's what I'm seeing out there. A lot of mediocre crap generated by AI. So when I use AI, you can't tell it's AI. It sounds like I wrote it because I'm training it. I'm prompting it, then I know what to look for and to rewrite it, either have it rewrite it or me take over and rewrite it.
So I'm curious. One of the interesting things you just said was that you took a client from 8 million to 55 million. Is that correct?
5.2. Yeah.
Can you give me, like, obviously not the secret sauce because you can't, I don't want to die today. However, give me just kind of give me the what do you think in an overview, how were they able to grow that quick? And what were some of the things that they didn't know that they were able to implement to take them to that level?
Right. So this company had great products, best in their class, and they had great copywriters working for them, right? And they were in what we call no man's land. When you're in that set mid to upper 7-figure and not into the 8 figures yet, it's a difficult place to be because you need all the resources of a bigger company, but you don't quite have the resources to get those, right? Like you need all the systems and all that stuff, right? The infrastructure, all that kind of thing. But the other thing was, so I always go in and I do diagnostic work first before I have like 65 different levers I pull, right? And well, which one is right for that business? Well, it depends on what's going on in that business. Where's their weak spot, right? Where's the constraint? Where are they fucking up? Excuse my French. So what I discovered, because I'll look at the P&Ls, I'll look at all their funnels, I'll look at everything, I'll mystery shop them. What I discovered was that their customer service was screwing everything up. And nothing will sink you faster than having bad customer service. And it's a big blind spot for most businesses because no one wants to believe that they have customer service issues. When you
Right.
tell somebody that, it's like telling them they have an ugly baby, right? It's like
Yep.
telling a guy he's lousy in bed or a bad driver. It's just, human nature. Nobody wants to hear that. And so the response I got was, well, I'm sure we could improve our customer service, but I think overall we do a decent job. And so then what I did was, the reason he hired me is he thought he had a cash problem, which he did. And he wanted me to write a bunch of things to bring a cash infusion in, right? So we have this saying in the business: sell people what they want and then deliver what they need.
Mm-hmm.
So I gave him what he wanted. I wrote a bunch of cash infusion emails. And one of the emails that I wrote was a survey type of email, like, hey, what would you like us to write about in the future, right? All that kind of stuff. And if it as a thank you, we'll give you this $25 gift certificate towards anything on our website, right? And so they had done stuff like that before, so it was within their comfort level. And then at the end of the survey, I snuck in a question. The last question in the survey was, on a scale of 0 to 10, how likely are you to refer us to your family and friends? So you've probably seen this, right? It's called the Net Promoter Score. And so if you're a 9 or a 10, you're a promoter. If you're a 6, 7, 8, 6, 7, 8, or I think it's 6, 7, 8, you're neither. And if you're below that, you're a detractor. You're actually telling anyone who will listen how much they suck, right? And so the highest Net Promoter Score you can have is a positive 100, which is impossible. The lowest you can have is a negative 100, which is impossible. You're going to be somewhere in between. Now, what do top companies have? Companies like Apple, companies like Amazon, companies like Nordstrom, they're in the 69, 70, 71 range, right? That's an exceptional promoter score. Ours was an 11. And so now I had a metric to show him. I said, see? And he was like, okay, you're right. I get it.
Wow.
And so the first thing we did was fire the customer service manager and hire somebody really good. And also I have a whole philosophy on customer service, which I could go into or not go into. I mean, we could be here.
Feel free. Feel free. Would love to. Yeah, I'm here for it.
So what do you do when you screw up?
I give them something of value.
Yeah. Most people say you fix the problem. Okay. You apologize and fix the problem. No. Now you're just giving them what you were supposed to give them in the first place.
Yeah, you give them something.
The answer is you go above and beyond. You delight them. If you do everything right, people are going to be happy with you. If you screw up and go above and beyond, they're going to rave to all their friends about you.
100%. Well, I learned that. I don't remember where. I think a friend of mine was telling me, like, in Chinese culture, you don't just say I'm sorry. You make amends and you do something to prove that you're sorry. Like, I'm sorry is empty. Like, who gives a shit? Nobody cares. Nobody cares about your I'm sorry, right? But you making amends and then doing something about it, that is worth it.
So making amends and doing something about it, and then doing something on top of doing what about? Well, I used to order these keto bombs, right? Like the just fat with xylitol in them. You know what I'm talking about, right? And I ordered three boxes, and the next day one box comes. So what do? Start being a whiny little bitch. But I get really angry because I ordered 3 and the mother effers just sent me 1, and now I got to call up and take time out of my day. So if they just said, oh, I'm sorry, here's the other 2, I still took time out of my day. I'm still in a negative position. Yeah. So what did they do instead? The next day, 6 boxes came. Next day, 6 boxes.
That's amazing.
And here I am 10 years later, still telling the damn story, right? That's what happens when you give great customer service.
You know what? We could end on that. I mean,
all right, see ya.
I mean, talk about a gem, like going above and beyond, to make up for a mistake. And so my videographer was on set, and one of the files was corrupted during the conversion process. and we missed, I think, about 5 videos that we were supposed to give them that were teleprompter videos. And sure, we could have, oh, I'm sorry, put it on them, right? But we're flying out. We're gonna do, we're gonna do a whole nother shoot, and we're gonna give them, I think at least 10 to 15 more videos,
Right.
than they would have, right?
Yeah.
And that's
we all screw up, right?
just,
I've had files get corrupted. I mean, I'm sure everybody who's listened has had files get corrupted on them. Yeah, stuff goes wrong all the time, and it's your job as the business owner to roll with it. It's not your customer's job to roll with it.
Yeah.
Paying you good money, you better damn well make them happy.
You better do it. Exactly. And so when your problem with most businesses these days, because it's noisy as fuck, right? Like, isn't it noisy? Like, you got noise all over the place. Everybody's creating content, everybody's writing, everybody, and AI is making it even more, right? Just easy. So how are you cutting through this noise?
So again, it's it's all the great copywriting stuff, some of the tricks I've developed, but the biggest thing, the mindset wise, is realizing that you're not just competing against every other ad in that category. You're not even just competing with every other ad in the world, of which I forget how many, I forget the number. It was some crazy number. We're hit with 10,000 advertising messages a day or some crazy thing like that, right? I'll have to look it up. But see, if we were on Joe Rogan, you'd have your little minion and he'd pull up the stat.
They're just not here right now.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm sure the folks at home can do that, can look up how many. But the point is, we're not even just competing against that. We're competing against everything. Every blog post, every podcast, every show on Netflix, every Marvel movie, every newspaper and magazine. We're competing against everything. You know how they say, oh, people have a short attention span today. Really? Then why are they sitting through a 3-hour Marvel movie if they have a short attention span? And the answer is because Marvel grabs their attention, keeps it, captivates them, thrills them. It's a thrill ride. Gene Schwartz, the great copywriter, he said, you want to learn how to go watch, how to write copy? Go watch one of those. At the time, Lethal Weapon was one of the big movies at the box office. He goes, go watch Lethal Weapon. There's 2 minutes of dialogue, then a fight scene. Then another 2 minutes of dialogue and a car chase. Then another 2 minutes of dialogue and shit blowing up, right? That's how your copy should be. So getting their attention, super difficult. Keeping their attention, maybe even more difficult.
And you solve this problem with the mysteries.
The very first VSL I ever did when they first came out, I just took an existing print control and we made a video out of it. And it ended up being 1.5 hours long. And I didn't know any better, so I put the buy button at the very end. Because I didn't know, because it was the first time I did it. And people sat through 1.5 hours, watched it, and bought. We doubled our sales when we switched that sales page to a VSL.
Wow. So VSL still work and funnels still work.
Yeah. I mean, everything gets harder. CPMs are through the roof. This is the biggest thing we're wrestling with now, right? Everything gets harder every year. So you just got to keep up with it and just stay on top of things. And again, losing is not an option, right? That's 100%. The mentality. By the way, when I used to beat people going up head to head against them, it was 80 some odd %, depending on when you tracked it. Like, did I, at that moment in time, but it was somewhere in the 80 to 85% of the time. And my mentality there was, I don't want to just beat, it could be my best friend that I'm going up against, right? I don't want to just beat him. I want to destroy him. I want to demoralize him. I want to give him PTSD so he never even thinks of going up against me again. Right?
I love it. I love that. That's pretty funny. So the people that you're helping now are 8-9-figure entrepreneurs that are in the B2C or B2B space?
So the companies that I'm a partner in are B2C, right?
Okay.
But I started a mastermind, which is a whole other story. I was kind of bullied into doing it. For years, people would say, "Why don't you teach stuff?" And I just wasn't interested because I don't like being famous. I don't like, I'm kind of lazy, and believe it or not, despite all the stuff I just said, and I didn't want to have. The last thing I wanted to do was build an email list that now becomes this insatiable beast that you have to keep feeding content to every week. Like I don't like writing copy. I hate writing copy. The greatest day of my life was the day when I fired myself as chief copywriter and hired myself as copy chief. I have my writers do it. And with the businesses I'm a partner in, we have all these systems. Everything runs itself. I'm the creative director, the CMO kind of role, biz dev, but it doesn't take as much time of my time as you would think because we have systems in place, right? We've got great people. That's another important thing. I only hire A players, no tolerance for B or C players.
There you go.
But back to your question, what was the question again?
I'm asking, who are you helping these days?
Oh, so it's B2C companies that I'm a partner in, but people kept saying, one time I was talking to a mentor of mine and I told him, how much I love teaching and coaching because I have my Copy Cubs, my writers, and I do a teaching training with them every week and all this. And he said, well, why don't you do some events? I go, I don't want to do an event. And I started giving him all the reasons that I just gave you, right? And he said, that's bullshit. You just don't want to get out of your comfort zone. And so I got to start arguing with him, right? And he goes, listen, man, you don't have to do any of that. Just do a small event at your house. And so I did one and it was fun. And he said, okay, so do another one. And I committed to doing it for a year. And people would come to the event and then I would upsell them to a mastermind. And so I stopped doing the small events because I got tired of promoting them, but I kept the mastermind. And I'm probably going to start, doing some promotion because even if you have a great renewal rate over time, there's attrition and, it's time to either shut the thing down or keep it going. And I decided I'm having a lot of fun and I want to keep it going. So the folks who come to that, they're everything, B2B, B2C, solopreneurs. I mean, I thought it would be mostly, B2C direct response companies, and it was all over the map. I had a law firm, I had, you name it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What's the name of it?
What's the name of it? Well, the name of it kind of sucks. It's called The Room. That's the name of the mastermind. Right. But it's just like, Parris's mastermind. And the small events, the name of those was transformation trading.
Nice.
Because the goal of those was you really do come out of there transformed. Like you just don't see the world the same again.
Do you, and this is open, is this like an invite only type of deal? Can anybody join the mastermind? Is there a,
so you've got to be, if your big goal in life is to make $100,000 a year, then no, this is not going to be for you. But if you're already, a going concern, right? If you're like a 7-figure business who wants to go to 8 figures, or if you're an 8-figure business that wants to go to 9 figures, or if you're a solopreneur that's, doing a decent amount and wants to do better, there's different strategies. There's like the lifestyle business, which is totally fine. And that's kind of what my copywriting and marketing consultancy is. It's just kind of like, it's just me and my assistant. We don't have a lot of infrastructure, we don't have anything. And then there's the well-oiled machine, and that's the businesses that I am a partner in, and I've experienced both, so I help both kind of people.
Nice. I love it. How do they find you?
Cindy, how do they find me? Because for years that I had no business cards, no website, I wasn't on social media. You had to know somebody who knew somebody to get to me. Do we have like a page or something people could go to?
4 days.
It'll be live in 4 days. How's that for an answer? Yeah. And what is the URL?
You know what? Well, again, that's the one I'm building.
That's the one she's building. Okay. Well, I guess if anybody,
you can email me. assistant@parrislamp.com.
Okay, if you want to do that to yourself, email assistant@parrislamp.com. And it's Paris with two R's, PARRISLAMP.com. I'll let you figure out how to spell assistant.
I love it. I love it, dude. I can't say I enjoy every podcast that I do. I definitely get things out of it, but I really did enjoy this.
Thank you.
I love your vibe, love the mystery, love the stories. Definitely going to stay in touch with you for sure. Are you going to Austin for the Flow event?
I am going, yeah.
Oh, good. Well, then I'll see you.
Cool people there
in person.
Awesome.
Which is great. Thanks for being here, guys. Check out Parris. If you want to join his mastermind, you can contact me or you can contact his assistant, and I'll make the introduction. Super interested in what you got going on there for sure. And that was Spaghetti on the Wall.
By the way, when you call me, I don't do sales calls the traditional way. It's basically a 15-minute call where I just ask people what their problem is, and then I tell them if I think I can help them or not, and then they decide whether they want to join. I don't believe in like doing the whole overcoming objections and all that shit. I don't care. You could join, you could not join. If we're a good fit, cool. If we're not, cool. Either way is fine. Yeah,
I feel the same way. I like sales tactics and how to close somebody and blah blah. I'm like, if they don't find value in you, they don't trust you, then you're not going to close it anyway. I don't care how much sales tactics you're going to have. You know,
the last thing I want to do is take somebody's money under duress, right? Or if they feel any kind of second thoughts about it or anything like that. It's just if they're stoked and I'm stoked, then cool. And if we're not, cool. We could still run into each other at events and parties, and I don't, it's not going to be weird or awkward.
100%. I love it. Parris, such a pleasure. Stick around for a couple of minutes while I end the podcast. And that was Spaghetti on the Wall, brought to you by Leduc Entertainment for all of your production needs, podcasts, videos, social media. We got you. Keep listening, keep watching, and we'll see y'all next time.